Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
All right. So welcome everybody to The Crossover. Today is Friday the 13th. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right.
And we've made it this far.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, today's Friday, September 13th, 2024. Is this the first ever Friday the 13th crossover? Can't be.
I doubt it, dude.
Can't be. All right. And we open the show with, I'll do announcements first. Do we have any Card Ladder related announcements to do?
Yes.
To make? We do. Okay, go ahead, Christina.
We have, we now provide you the opportunity as an SGC collector to add SGC cards to your collection, and we'll pull the data direct from SGC with the picture and make it super easy for you. All you need is the cert.
Nice.
Nice.
Shout out to Peter for helping us get this done, and we're excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Christina. Well done.
What did you do?
It was Josh.
What did you do, Chris?
I was emotional
You're-
sports.
Yes, exactly, yes.
My greatest skill is getting out of the way.
You oversaw it.
I project manage.
Well, you didn't. That's why it got done so quickly.
That's right. I actually did not project manage. That was what I did. Okay. Let's go on to mail days. And I have none, but you might have one or two or three.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is not all this week. I just have been trying to build up something to be able to actually show off. So here we go.
All right.
I don't think anyone knows about any of this stuff.
Drop the bomb.
All right. Here we go. Football season. Let's see. All right. 2016 Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1 Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Did I get the light okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. This'll start the theme here. Wait, that's 2017. I'm sorry. 2017. This is 2016.
All right. First year.
First year of Optic. 2016. Yes, thank you in the chat. 1 of 1. Antonio Brown. He's a pretty normal guy, right?
Yeah, if you don't follow him on social media.
I've seen some of his. He's photoshopping pictures of himself with Tom Brady's ex-wife and stuff. All right. To match the Brown 2017 Optic Vinyl 1 of 1 Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
This one's badass, dude.
That's the second year Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1 of Tyreek.
I'm speaking your language now.
Yep.
All right, this is the most random card I've ever owned, but I'm digging it.
Oh.
2023 Prism Finite 1 of 1 Michael Thomas. People on the podcast, on the audio only, are like, what's happening?
Joe Poirot calls out WRs as the theme.
Wide receivers. I've done the wide receiver thing before, and I'm back. This next one is not a wide receiver, but this is 2014 Finest Superfractor 1 of 1 Aaron Donald rookie card.
let that one just marinate for just a second.
Yeah, Aaron Donald's pretty good. Look at this. It's got the Pittsburgh Steelers logo, and on the bottom it says Steelers. So this is an error print. They fixed it with the autos set.
Okay.
So the autos have the Rams logo, but the base cards do not.
So that's the Topps Chrome sorry, the Topps finest Superfractor rookie 1 of 1 of
From the base
3-time DPOI Aaron Donald. Thank you.
From the base set, correct.
All right.
Yeah, 134. So this gets into the rookies. All right. The next 3 are bangers. Like mega bangers. All right. 2016 Prism Black Finite Michael Thomas 1 of 1 rookie card. So this is either his first or second best card, depending on how you feel about the Shield. Because the Shield Auto Platinum sold on Goldin a few years ago. So that one is out and about.
Okay. PSA 10 as well.
Yeah, that's kind of neat, isn't it? And look at the old label, old slab. This was probably graded in his rookie year.
That's stunning. You've always been a big Michael Thomas fan, and he is an OPOY.
He is an OPOY, 2-time All-Pro, first team, slant god. And he still holds the record for most receptions in one season, 149. And that was before they switched to 17 games. Okay. 2016 Prism Black Finite Tyreek Hill 1 of 1 rookie card.
Okay, hold on a minute.
So unlike the last one, this is his best card because his Shield Auto it was like, I don't want to call it a redemption, but he wasn't signing because he was a later draft pick, and all of his signatures ended up being stickers, and the design on the card is different than all the other 2016 rookies. It looks more like the Mahomes. Because the 2016s are vertical, and he has a horizontal Shield Auto. It's kind of strange. So this is really, to me, his best card.
Tyreek Hill, top card, his rookie year, Prism Black Finite 1 of 1, from a very limited rookie offering for Tyreek.
So this one came up on auction. You were talking about it, and I was like, God damn, that card's sick. And then I was like, are you going for this? Because if not, I think I will.
Yeah, that card is ridiculous.
And then after I won it, it was like, well, we're in it now, so let's buy some more.
5-time All-Team?
5-time All-Pro, yeah. So Randy Moss has 4-time All-Pro first team. Tyreek has 5.
5 first teams is Mahomes has 2.
And he is the active number 1 player on NFL Top 100 as voted by his peers. I mean, obviously, Mahomes is probably the best, but as voted by peers, Tyreek is the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I really love the concept of owning the best card of the best player. They don't have to be the best player forever, but he was voted by his peers as the best player, and that's his best card. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about this later, but I've been brainwashed by you, and here we are. All right.
I'm just returning the favors, though.
Yeah, we were talking about over DMs. We're sort of like stacking ideas on each other, and we're just like gonna just race to the top here. That's the goal. All right, the next one is a bigger card in my opinion, and I'll let you decide. But this is the 2014 Aaron Donald Black Finite Prism 1 of 1, and this is undoubtedly his best card because he does not have a Shield Auto at all. He's in National Treasures, but he only has the 99s and their sticker autos.
It's crazy to drop all these all at once.
And he does have a Topps Chrome Superfractor in a PSA 10, and I've seen a picture of it. But I would still probably go with this one because of the transition to Panini from basketball occurred in 2009, and football, their transition fully happened in 2016. So the 2016 class is the first one without any Topps cards.
Very cool.
That is it.
Nice.
There's a few more in the mail. Actually, I have one more. I have one more banger in the mail, but I'm trying to pick up some like smaller one-on-ones as well.
Yeah. That's how you start off the football season right there.
I fall for the football hype.
Preston says no better person for that to have gone to. That's big praise coming from an LA collector.
Well, Preston helped me get those 2 Donalds, so shout out to Preston.
You had them all in an order as well.
I think so. What do you think of the order?
I love the order. Yeah, the order is a good reveal.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to the Aaron Donald, though, like, it was so overwhelming that you forget that, like, this opened up with Antonio Brown's first optical vinyl. Like, that's no slouch either. But when you're dropping the Tyreek and the Aaron Donald Prism Black Finite rookies.
Yeah. The Donald came up for sale right after I won the Tyreek. I was like,
yeah,
let's do it.
And you said a few more in the mail, so.
One more real big one in the mail.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, all downhill from here. Let's get to the questions. Many, many questions this week. So, first up, first question is from Christina's PC, who says the eBay auction results screen lasts for too long. Why is it this way? I'm dying here.
Dude, doesn't it even like show an old price until you refresh like 5 times?
Ooh, I don't know. Are you on a device or on a laptop?
If I'm on a device, it won't like show the latest price until like a couple minutes later. And if I win the auction, it says like this ended. And then a minute later, it's like, actually, you won. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Well, we were sitting and she won a card tonight, but it took at least 60 seconds for the screen to like, when she was on her phone, it was like, we're figuring out who won, and that is torturous.
So I was complaining about it.
Yeah.
And then like it got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna screen record this because it's taking so long. And the screen record, I kid you not, after me complaining about it and having a full conversation with Chris about how it was taking long and how people have been complaining about it, was 35 seconds until like it said, congratulations, you won. Yeah. But like it was absurdly long.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Have you guys tried a sniping service?
No.
Well,
no.
We can talk about it. I've shifted to it. It works pretty well.
Okay.
I'm
awesome.
I'm 3 for 3.
Very, very nice. Yeah, just for those who are wondering, who are watching the podcast on YouTube, Christina and I have a totally different background. We're in Minneapolis. We decided to drive up. So it's like a 4.5 hour drive from where we're staying right now to go to the card show. There's a big card show this weekend. So people were wondering why I have this weird purple wall behind me.
That's purple?
Yeah, I get right. Is it? What color is that?
It's like purple.
It's really
it's like a dark
aggressive,
maroon, purpley color. Yeah.
It's unsettling.
I know. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, there's not much we can do about it.
It's not my favorite. Sorry. Apologies. Maybe it's maroon or red.
Lauren says it is maroon.
It looks maroon from my end.
How do you pronounce the color that Bill sends? Mauve.
Mauve.
Mauve is more like isn't mauve more like brown undertone?
We don't need to do this tangent.
Okay.
All right. Christina, thank you. Is that the first time you've ever had a question read on the crossover? What is the experience like having your question read on the crossover? No, she turned.
I'd like to call bullshit on favoritism. Her question got asked so quickly.
It did get asked very quickly. All right. PLB card says, do you find it offensive when someone lists the card on eBay for a price that reflects that they don't actually want to sell it? I personally don't have a problem with it, but it seems to bother a lot of people.
I saw that and I was like, oh man, Drake probably has something to say. And then I looked down and he commented on it for sure. It's annoying. It's annoying, right? When you're trying to actually buy it, it's annoying.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. It is annoying. And this is one of those logic traps where if you're annoyed by it being annoying, you're just you're guilty of the same thing. Right. So there's see, Gary Vee solved this problem a long time ago. The only way to escape this trap of like hating the hater is just to completely ignore it and just always be positive. Otherwise, one person is annoyed by another person's annoyance and it just never stops. So obviously people are going to be upset if they're trying to buy the card, like you said. That's going to upset them, and good. That just shows that people want cards. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Let me be annoyed in peace. How about that?
That is a title potential. All right. Next question from Cardboard Insights. On a recent interview with Nat Turner, Cajun Cardboard and Nat spoke a lot about rare cards in which they would prefer when pushed to make a decision. Cajun asked if Nat would pick the last three PMG greens to complete his set, or the row 3 Legacy 1 of 1, since he has the other 3, row 0, row 1 of 1, row 2 Legacy 1 of 1s. Would he rather get the fourth and final MJ Legacy 1 of 1 or complete his PMG green set? Additionally, if there were several high-end 1 of 1s like Masterpieces or Gem Masters, do you choose the one that has the most hobby history, such as row 0 being the best of the Masterpieces, or is there another one that you like better aesthetically? Okay, let's like break down that first one. Nat gave the answer, if I remember right. Nat said he would rather have the final 3 PMG greens and complete the PMG green set than have all 4 of the Masterpiece 1 of 1s from 97 Flair Showcase.
Yeah.
Comment.
Isn't it like Robert Pack and like some rando dudes? I think one of them might be John Stockton, or there might be one that's expensive. But like financially, that answer doesn't make any sense. Maybe he's thinking like the legacies are all kind of similar to him. He'd rather just like finish the green set because he's been working on it for so long.
Yeah. And also, like, in fairness, the PMG greens are a set, and the 4 1 of 1s are not a set in the traditional sense. So that's I think that's a factor there too. And I don't know, he just loves the PMG green set.
Yeah, he's been working on that for so long, and he's so close. I can understand. Like, just give me those last 3. He's gonna be. Here's a take. He's gonna be bored out of his mind after he gets those 3. He's gonna wish he didn't find them.
That's so true. Okay, we're gonna see a full PMG green set for auction. Okay.
I don't think he should sell it as a set, just as an advisor.
Yeah. Okay. And then we also have the next question, which is, additionally, if there were several high-end 1 of 1s, maybe some Masterpieces or the Gem Masters, how do you choose? Do you go off of which one has the hobby history or which one is the best looking?
You know more about those than I do. I just look at aesthetics, but I would guess like maybe row 0 would stand out, but the other 3 kind of are the same to me.
Yeah. There's not a right answer to this. So some people lean towards the Ultra. Michael Jordan only has, I think, 6 1 of 1s in 1997-98 that are from a base set. He has, so he has the 4 Flair 1 of 1s, and then he has 2 1 of 1s in Ultra. One is from the base set, and one is from the subset, the 98 grade subset. Some people lean towards the 97 Ultra because there is a belief, and I think it's a substantiated belief by some amount of evidence, that was the first one that ever got issued. That was the first base set 1 of 1 of Michael Jordan. So some people gravitate towards that one. Some people gravitate towards, the best looking one. I think when the supply is so small, you can definitely make aesthetics-based choices probably without too much worry. Also, little known, but there is a 1 of 1 insert of Michael Jordan from 1997-98. It comes from Upper Deck. Stanley owns it.
Of course.
And it is it's the Power Deck 1 of 1 insert. And it's a great example because on paper, if I told you this is Michael Jordan's first one-of-one insert, that sounds amazing. Yeah, but then the card itself, loves Stanley, and it's a great card. And it's also something, I believe, it's an item that you can insert into your CD player or your computer or something, and it will play.
I guess you can see the circle in the middle.
Yeah. So, and the one-of-one it's not a stamp, I don't think. It's just sort of text that was attached to the front of the card. So it's just a great instance of how something can look amazing on paper, but in execution, it falls short compared to the Flair. Let's say the 4 one-of-ones from Flair.
And they were like toying around with the idea of one-of-one at this time. Like today, it's fully flushed out. We have consistency with the one-of-ones, but here it's like, let's make a weird power deck one. Let's make these Flair ones. Let's do one, and it wasn't really. So there's only 6 for a reason because it just wasn't really much of a thing.
100%, and there are nits to be picked with all of them. Like I just pointed out some flaws with the power deck, which is technically the 7th one-of-one of Michael Jordan from 97-98. The 98 Greats is a subset. The Ultra is first, but the unfortunate part about the Ultra is that it is identical to the Platinum Medallion. And that's not hyperbole or exaggeration. The front side is literally indistinguishable. Yep. Nothing changed.
No purple or anything like that?
No different color fonts. No slight different tints in a background. It is literally identical. You have to turn the card over to notice the difference on the backside. So that's unfortunate. But again, like you said, they were experimenting. They were just trying things out. They were just rolling out one-of-ones like as super chase cards at that time. And then the issue with the Flair Showcase Legacy one-of-ones is that there's 4 of them. There's 4 of them in the same product. Paralleling all 4 of the tiers, row 0, row 1, row 2, and row 3. So which is the best? That's always, most people will say row 0, but that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So as with all things in Michael Jordan collecting, there is not a clear winner or a perfect answer to the question.
I don't know. The rookies are pretty much figured that out this week, I thought.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Except for that. All right.
Here's I found the MJ. Yep. Grant Waldorf story used to own it. Here it is.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. There so for some reason I thought maybe the font was purple, but I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, it's not. No, what you're thinking of is probably the Peyton Manning. So, and what's amazing about the Peyton Manning is that for Ultra they used this design for 98 for football, and the Series 1 Peyton Manning has the same thing, where it's the Platinum Medallion and the Masterpiece are identical. But for Series 2, they changed the font color, and they made the font purple.
Fancy.
Yeah.
They got real fancy.
They did. All right. Next question here from Cajun Cardboard. What country has the biggest card market outside of the USA? And may I remind you that Asia is not a country. My vote is Australia. You were going to say Asia, weren't you? Okay.
No, I sent you something that you obviously did not read my DM. Thank you for.
I can read it right now.
And I said, wait, Asia's not a country? Since when? Did Russia invade them too?
Okay. All right. Very nice. So what do you say?
China is probably the obvious one here.
Yeah.
I was thinking Australia. We had a lot of Australian customers on Card Letter. We were surprised to see that number, but I believe they were number 2 for a while. I don't know if they still are.
Yeah. Australia is a great answer. China is a great answer. I think the Philippines might not have the most in terms of volume just because it's maybe the population isn't on par with somewhere like China, but in terms of the share of the best cards and where they're concentrated, they are overwhelmingly disproportionately located in the Philippines.
Yeah. There's a lot of collectors I know from Germany as well. Shout out Germany.
Germany. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Japan, probably. We can probably call Japan out.
Japan is a good call out. South Korea is a good call out, indeed.
Philippines, Peru.
I don't know about Peru. Maybe. Taiwan. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Let's get to this next question here from AP Cards 23. I appreciate you relic sniffing cardboard wranglers.
We've been called some weird things.
We've been called worse.
Yeah, worse, yeah.
No one splits views like Joe Burrow. Some people rate him as a top 3 quarterback, such as Ryan Russell, while others see him as a mid-50s QBR pocket passer who cannot stay healthy. Where do you guys come down on J-Dubs?
Let's see, where did he finish last year? 18 on QBR.
He's had one top 10 QBR finish, and it was 10.
Was that the Super Bowl season?
I think it was.
I think people are really putting a lot of value in that one game that he beat the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Chiefs did not score in the second half of that game?
That's right.
So one could credit the defense for that game more so than Joey B.
And I believe I was DMing you some Joe Burrow slander not that long ago. And we also sort of discussed that he's riding high on his LSU days.
Dude, I don't know if you looked up the stats after that. You should look up the stats. Let me pull them up. That LSU season is unbelievable, his stats.
And he has the iconic cigar in the locker room. I mean, it was everything.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find the stats from that season. Let me just say it's 2019. He had 76% completion percentage, 5,600 yards, 60 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions.
I mean, a guy can ride off of that for a half a decade.
His yards per attempt were 10.8. That's ridiculous. But to be clear, he had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on that team. Two of the best receivers in the NFL. Here's another take. A lot of his playoff games and a lot of his regular season games, Joe Mixon was very solid, as we saw with the Texans this week. He had 30 carries this weekend. Joe Mixon didn't get a lot of credit. But do you remember that Bills playoff game where they just ran over the Bills? That game was like snowing and mostly the run game. Yeah. I can pull up the box score for that. I'm kind of in the camp that he's like an average NFL quarterback, like maybe a little bit above average because he has some playoff success.
Yep.
Wait, we're still talking about Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Didn't he have like an amazing rookie year before he got injured?
He had some 4,000-yard passing seasons, right?
His best year, I believe, was the year that when they made the Super Bowl. It was good. I believe he finished 10th in QBR that season. Well, here's the thing. I mean, we have athletes, to connect this to the hobby discussion, we have athletes in the hobby who never were the most efficient or the most elite statistically, who have a lot of cultural cachet and who are popular and widely collected. You know, Anthony Edwards is a prime example of this. So, Joe Burrow, I cannot get on any Joe Burrow hype trains until he at least gets into the top 5 once in QBR. But we can understand that people have cultural appeal, and some people just have the clutch gene and just play great in big moments. So no, I don't want to take that away.
Yeah, I should pull up the Bills game. He had 36 attempts, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon had 20 carries for 105 yards with a 5.3 average. So a little bit of both. But I can pull up the Chiefs game while you get to the next question.
Well, let me address Anthony, who points out that Tom Brady is not top 10 QBR all time. First of all, sir, welcome to the chat. There is no all-time QBR ranking. The stat has only been kept since 2006. I think you're probably referring to passer rating, and if you are, that's correct. But QBR is a better stat than passer rating. However, Tom Brady has the greatest single season QBR of all time, which is the 2007 season with Randy Moss, where he had a QBR of 87.7. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So I'm doing that from memory, so hopefully I didn't botch up the years or whatever. But even if I messed up some numbers there, I know for a fact that Tom Brady has the single greatest QBR season on record in NFL history. Also, if you look at EPA per play stuff, Brady is 8th all time, and 2 of the people on that list are active athletes who haven't had the back half of their careers yet. So really, Brady's like fringe. He's not quite top 5, but he's probably going to end up top 6 or top 7 for the foreseeable future in EPA per play, which is that's the baseline input for QBR. But Anthony is right that if we're talking about passer rating, Brady is not up there.
I have the box score, and this is not good for Joey B defenders. Not good at all.
Let's go.
The AFC Championship game where he gets all of his cachet. He was 26 of 41, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions in that game. QBR of 50. Patrick Mahomes was 29 of 43, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 70. Wait, that's the wrong championship game. I'm sorry. They played in the championship twice? Because it says Pacheco. I'm like, he wasn't on the team yet. Sorry, I'll find the other one. Bengals, here we go. So in that game, Joey B was 23 of 38, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR at 60, and Mahomes was no bueno. He had 2 interceptions in that game.
All right. There's the statistical hammer. It is dropped.
But Mixon was good again. 21 carries, 88 yards, average of 4.2. All right. Move on.
Moving on. Big year for Joe Burrow, right? I think this is a pretty big year for Joey.
In terms of how we think of him?
Yeah.
It's not off to a good start.
Yeah. No, it's not. But he does seem to warm up as the season goes on.
Does everybody give him a pass for that? It's like there's only 17 games. It's like, oh, who cares? We'll just start out 0-3. Like seems dumb to me.
Good question. Very, very good question.
All these games have so much meaning.
They do. All right. Next question is from Mike Pinkerton 50, who says, does it feel like money is flowing into the hobby? Is it driven by big companies or more people?
So the monthly volume, as pointed out by a few accounts this week, we had our highest monthly volume tracked since March of 2022. Is that correct? 236. Nope, before that, February 2022. So it's been a while. So it's the highest month in over 2 years, volume-wise.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. What's your take on that, Josh?
It's mostly because Goldin had 2 auctions that month, but they did 12 million in sales. eBay did 190, which is more than normal. It does kind of feel anecdotally like we're seeing a bit of a jump lately. What are you guys seeing in the day-to-day sales of like number of sales you're looking at and average prices, all-time highs, etc.?
It's been a lot more all-time highs lately for sure. And verified volume, though, is down.
Yeah.
Verified volume is definitely down. So some prices are going up in some instances, but in most cases, we have an overall trend down in that area. So it's interesting to see that while verified volume, the cards we're tracking in Card Ladder's ladder, are trending down recently. The cards that we don't track in the overall monthly volume figures, those relative to previous months are doing quite well, as you pointed.
The verified volume in July was 20 million, and in August was 31 million.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. August was an uptick.
So about, a pretty huge boost.
That's a lot more work for us in August.
Yeah. And also you and I have been sent more kind of, I don't know, random sales of random players where we're like, wow, that's a noteworthy sale that we didn't verify, but that kind of stuck out to us.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
the Fanatics Weekly last week had some interesting sales.
Yep. Exactly. So we'll see. Maybe it's a blip. Maybe it's an anomaly. But there is no doubt that a lot of money, relative just to the other instances over the past few years, there's more money being spent right now for sure.
This is probably the most green we've seen on this page in a while.
Yeah.
The indexes, more than half of them are up, including the big boys. Basketball is up 5% in the last month.
Yep.
Football is 4%. And these are like pretty huge numbers, I should point out. Like 5% in 1 month for how many cards we track is very significant.
Yep.
And low pop cards are up 6%. High-end cards are up 6%. Vintage 5%. And the things that are down are like Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, Wrestling, low-end cards, MMA. So like the cards you would the categories you would point to as like market health are up around 5% kind of across the board.
And what was the time span on those?
1 month.
1 month. Okay.
That's short. I mean, that's the jump in the verified volume from 20 to 30. The high overall volume since February 2022, and a 5% increase on low pop cards, high-end basketball, football.
Okay.
So those three together tell me it's not like a fluke, it's real data.
Yep.
Now we need to see if it is 2, 3, 4 months in a row before we start saying more.
Yep. Great point.
Yeah.
Let's see some more. Let's see if this sticks. Okay. Moving on to the next question here from T-Time. His first question is, how many players in the current NFL will be remembered, that is, have valuable cards in 50 plus years? That's his first. And then he has a second question, but we'll take care of the question one first.
You want to take a shot at it?
It's a great question, and it's purely speculative. It's purely speculative. And there's going to be a tendency to want to say, well, how many players from 50 years ago are remembered today?
Yeah.
But the problem with that comparison is that we didn't have the widespread distribution of football NFL media. So we don't have, readily accessible highlights and footage and content on top of content from games that were played 50 years ago, the way we're going to have that content from today. And we didn't have fantasy football. We didn't have all the networks that talk about it, and so on and so forth. So that's a factor.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Do you have something?
No, that's a great one. Which it's like, only Mantle and Ruth survived.
Right.
But when I talked to my father-in-law about this, he talks about how like he got to watch one baseball game a week on TV, and it was always the Yankees, and so he knew Mickey Mantle from that. And all of him and his friends grew up idolizing Mickey Mantle because it's like that's all we saw. Where the point you made is great. It's like, yeah, of course we know all these guys. We know all the sleepers and all the like random receivers because of fantasy football. We know all these guys. We see them play on Red Zone, and it's really not comparable.
Right. So that it's going to be. I just think that there's not really a good precedent for trying to figure out this question. But if you think back. So it's 2024. If you think back 30 years, how many players from the 90s, from the mid-90s, are still relevant and top of mind? Granted, that's 30 years, not 50. The question asks for 50. But during the 90s, we started to have a lot more media and content and statistics and things focusing on the sport that got distributed. And if I think about the 90s, I can start coming up with tons of players. So, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Brett Favre. I'm sure if we sat here and started thinking, we would come up with dozens and dozens of names of players. If we want, I know 30 years ago was 1994, but if, we're talking about the 90s, John Elway, Terrell Davis, and I was not I watched football as a kid. I was an Oakland Raiders fan, so Tim Brown, Napoleon Kaufman, Rocket Ishmael, Rich Gannon, Art Shell, even the coach, right? Like, these are all very memorable names to me. So it's 30 years, not 50, but I think there's a lot of players who make impressions culturally once the sport and the apparatuses of promoting the sport have become widespread.
But you made the point on this show, which I haven't heard this a lot, and maybe we should talk about it more now, but the 90s is more comparable from basketball from the 90s is more comparable to football today. Because of the viewership of the biggest games, Michael Jordan dominating that era. Now we've got Brady and Mahomes. There's just much more, obviously way bigger numbers viewership-wise in the NFL today, and in the 90s it was basketball. So the 90s, we can rattle off tons of basketball players, and all of those guys have popular and valuable cards from a lot of these big sets, and people are chasing the one-on-ones, and they're chasing PMG greens of all these players and stuff. And we kind of have thought about, like, that's probably football today, just how much eyes are on it with fantasy football and everything.
Right.
So
yeah. So I think those are super pertinent parts of this analysis. And look, Dave is going in the chat. He says Emmitt Smith. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Marshall Falk. He throws in LT, Junior Seau. There's a lot of iconic players from that decade. On Auction Talk, Worf and Nick and Brett were talking about Marvin Harrison. Like, there's just so many. Peyton Manning was drafted in the 90s. So there's just, to me, I think, especially combined with sort of the factor that you were reiterating that football is having its biggest cultural impact right now. We'll see. It's purely speculative. I don't really think we have any historical basis to answer that question yet. All right.
Yeah, I've obviously thought, and you could tell by what I'm purchasing, but like, fantasy football just has such a huge cultural impact, and everyone gravitates towards the quarterbacks. But I just think as individuals, we're just going to have a lot of memories and nostalgia for, like, our old fantasy football teams. And this is like the peak of it right now, where it's going to capture it.
Yep.
But like you said, we'll see.
All right, now for question 2, same thing, but for the NBA.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the same answer, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so to some extent. It's the same answer, but
Less viewership than the 90s, so maybe a few less, yeah.
Right. I think if somebody were to say, hey, I think the 90s for basketball will end up producing more memorable names 50 years down the line as compared to today, I think that's probably going to prove correct, just because the domestic fandom in America for the NBA is about 1/3 of what it was in the 90s. But for football, I think the inverse is true. I think you're probably going to have.
That's like television ratings. We have more. Do we make up for it on social media and TikTok impressions? And
it's a great point. I think Nielsen tries to incorporate streaming, but I don't know that they certainly wouldn't be incorporating illegal streaming, which is probably
like a lot. I know that a lot of younger kids don't even watch the full games. They just like watch clips on TikTok or Snapchat or whatever.
Indeed. All right. Well, a really interesting question and thought experiment there.
Which is why Anthony Edwards is so popular. Nobody actually watches the games. They just watch his dunks.
They have 2 strays for Ant-Man.
Ant-Man was a problem.
Okay, so we have 2 questions from 2 different people on the same topic. I'm just going to put them together. First one is from PK Cards, who says, is it okay for Topps Now cards to be photoshopped college images dated as their first game? And Straight Execution says, is Topps not able to get photos for their Topps Now, or are they just bait and switching people? So I'm not familiar with this issue, but I'm inferring from the 2 questions that Topps Now cards, which are purportedly capturing a specific moment or instance or something memorable, purportedly they are using photoshopped college images to represent a now moment. So, do you have any strong thoughts on this?
No, sorry. Something just popped in my screen.
Sure. Yeah, I think it popped on my screen too. Okay, all right. Well, WTF Frankie says Wax Museum broke this down already. So check out the Wax Museum podcast. I think we probably have a lot of listener overlap, but if you don't already listen to that podcast, check it out. He has probably put some analysis into this. I think it is a fair point to raise, is that if we're talking about Topps Now cards and they're representing a moment that's sort of in the theme of the card, that it's fair game to say, well, I kind of want the picture to be from that moment. I think that's probably a reasonable request. So, but I don't have the full story there, so I don't want to go too far with it. All right. Next question we have here is from 1956 Topps guy, who says he's turning the tables. He says, we always talk about growth, but what are your top 3 things that will inhibit growth? All right. So we are always talking about how we can grow the hobby, etc., which I don't know if we are. I think he's using the royal we, the we of commenters on the sports card hobby. There's always a lot of talk about growing, but what are the things that we should be on the lookout for, or things that we should discuss that actually slow growth or inhibit growth? I've got a few that I feel strongly about. I'm sure you probably do.
A few. Let's go.
First of all, I think we got to be careful with these influencers. I think that orienting the hobby experience around sort of a shepherd and a sheep dynamic, where there's an influencer who's giving out advice to people and leading people to make certain decisions and doing certain things, is not at all in keeping with the spirit of what makes this a dynamic and exciting and great hobby. On the contrary, the influencer understands their relationship to their audience is they have the big microphone and the audience is just, sheep sitting there listening to them and doing what they say. And the hobby is the exact opposite. The hobby is not spectators. And this is a mistake that I think gets made all the time. The hobby is not spectators. The hobby is full of participants. Everybody in the hobby is playing their own game, and they are the main character in their game. Whether they're buying and selling cards on eBay, or they're building a collection and they're posting stuff to their Instagram and their social media, this is not the right dynamic for influencer follower relationships. It's the opposite. Everybody is their own influencer, and we should be encouraging that. So that's one. Should I give my second one as well?
Sure. It's probably my second one.
Yeah. Well, so Dave Kahana points this out, and I completely agree. He says fuckery happening. All right. That's a huge problem. Whether it's manipulated market results or disingenuous pump and dumps, or just people not being totally transparent, fraud, outright fraud that goes on, shill bidding that goes on,
CT
scanning, all the different ranges of deception from the minor to the prolific are a huge problem. And there are plenty of people who, if they get exposed to this and if they get scammed or they get taken or they get misled or they get burned, that's not going to grow the industry. That's going to do the opposite. It's going to turn people away, turn them off. Okay. So there's two of mine. What do you say, Josh? What are some things that will inhibit growth in the hobby?
People might think this will grow the hobby, so it might be a hot take, but I think the gambling and breaking is eventually going to lead people out because on the whole, I mean, people just keep betting money on sports, so maybe I'm just an idiot and I don't understand, but like, if you keep losing money, I don't know why you'd keep coming back. And it's also a space that was not really intended for that. It's been sort of like misused because of some tax loopholes and people able to like treat it like gambling and behind the guise of collecting, which it's not. So that's always concerned me that people do that and then get frustrated and lose money and then just bail, as opposed to like building a collection. And if you do that with some patience and skill, like you can kind of protect yourself from not just losing it all like you do in gambling, and you can at least like make slower returns over time if you're doing it right. So I'm concerned about the gambling aspect, and it seems like it's ramping up a lot.
Yep, I think a lot of people share your concern on that. Something else that I think is concerning, or if it were to happen in a fuller capacity, then it could be a problem, is manufacturers' greed. So the manufacturers sort of, basically with runaway inflation of their printing runs, or their having runaway, inflation in terms of the number of parallels is continuing to grow, or sort of unfortunately what we've seen happen to Select, where you start with one tier, then you end up getting 3 tiers, then you get 4 tiers, then you get 5 tiers, and you start with one of one parallel, and then you get 3 one of one parallels, and then 5 one of one parallels to all the different tiers. At a certain point, things get watered down, and the perceived appeal of like a one of one card from Select, when it turns out that your favorite player might actually have 15 or 20 one of ones in the base set of Select, depending on how many tiers they appear in. I think that can be an inhibitor, because it can make people feel like the concept of rarity, or the concept of a one of one, or the concept of a limited release can be completely bastardized. So I think manufacturers should be really conscientious about that. And I think for the most part they are. I think for the most part they try not to blow things up too much. So we'll see, but I'm worried about it. I'm definitely worried about it. All right, I think that puts a bow on that question for now. All right, we have a guest who has not requested to join our show in years. We really missed him. So what do you say? Should we let an impromptu guest on, even though he hasn't really been watching us lately?
He's back.
All right, let's bring him back. There we go.
Hey guys,
What's up, Ken?
how you doing?
What's up, Ken?
You guys hope you've been well. I'll wait for a couple seconds to get into it so my people could be alerted and see who's up. You guys have been doing the show, so I was not expecting to be on. I was not expecting to be up tonight. Paul had a late baseball game, went extra innings, ended at 11 o'clock at night, and it's got another 2 games tomorrow. So since you've been doing the show, I'm guessing that you were not aware of what happened in the past 15 minutes.
We are.
No, what's going on?
Okay.
We are.
We are aware.
So I want to show you this, and I want you to listen to this. Hold on.
Legendary $144,000 product.
Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Remember the story about the Star Jordan?
Hold on.
Remember when Jeff took his victory lap about the imaginary $144,000 profit he would have made?
This is Cage Lawyer.
Card?
Yep.
Tonight.
Sold for $244,000.
Listen carefully.
Well, somebody call Snuffleupagus, because this card sale has been removed from Card Ladder. Looks like it's not being paid for. Manipulation? Somebody might have called it. Remember when Jeff took his...
Okay, so my first question is, and by the way, when you check your emails, you see you got an email to both of you, Nat Turner, Ryan Hogue, and Matt. Fun evening, fun Saturday night, not Friday night, not how I like spending it. Was this card listed in Card Ladder and then pulled?
Yes, it was.
Why was it pulled?
You want to talk about that right now?
It was paid for on September 3rd via wire. So this guy's out there saying that the card wasn't paid for.
Well, Ken, what do you think our mechanism is for why we would remove the sale?
Either you think it was not paid for, or you think it was an aberration.
Or we received information from a reliable source.
That it wasn't paid for?
That's right.
Guess what? I'll send you the wire transfer.
Okay.
Well, let me
Please
ask you a question. Is my cell phone on both your phones?
I think so.
Okay, is my email on both your phones? Did we work?
Email is impossible. It's impossible to forget, Ken.
Exactly. Did we work for the same company for 3 years before my company?
Ken, all right, I have a rhetorical question for you, Ken.
Yeah.
What name or what entity affiliation do you think would cause us to believe that they are credible and to remove the sale?
I have no idea, but it can't be anyone from Goldin. You can ask, right?
Well, it would only be that situation.
That's impossible. I mean, I guess you don't have to tell me in case I
I'd prefer to confer it with you privately, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We can talk. You can text me. We can talk after. What time you guys get? Here's the bottom line. The card was paid for on September 3rd.
Okay.
It shipped on September 4th. I'm just going to go right now into the system. And sorry, I got another iPad here, so I got to log into this thing. It's not recognizing me with my glasses on. Okay, hold on. Let me just get to that option. This is live. This is like live TV, people. This is breaking news. This is breaking.
You wanted to come on and do it live, so we're doing it live.
Exactly. No, this is important. Look. You know me. I don't pull any punches. I'm open for anything and everything.
Well, Ken, you know what? You know us, and our main interest is making sure that people have accurate information.
Yes. So here we go. Let me just go. Hold on a second. Jordan, current price. Okay, so here we go. Let me get to this guy. Okay, so this is the buyer. And now let me find his invoices. So this is a buyer who has had 46 invoices from Goldin since 2021, because this is when Zen started. You know how the system is. Sure. And by the way, Josh, I don't know, because of the TSA, hold on a second. Yes, I think you're going to have to delete your reel now. But I recorded it. So by the way, anybody who thought after my business got, after we went with eBay that I would go on vacation or I would retire, maybe hoping I would retire, or that I would not take it so seriously, you obviously did not know me. Okay, so let me find the invoice here. Unfortunately, the system we use, you know how it is, Josh. It's not necessarily easiest. Okay, so here's the invoice number. 2. Okay. The second, and on that invoice, he bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Only one of them was a star card. I don't want to say what else he bought. We received the wire on 9/3. The auction ended on 9/2 on Labor Day Monday. We received the wire. Payment was posted on 4:49 p.m. And it just looking, and it was shipped. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it here. I am not. This is not what I'm shipping to. Print sheet inlays. Okay. So it was posted. I will even tell you it was. No, I can't tell you. It was posted by someone in the accounting department with the first initial K. And I don't know what to tell you guys.
Hey, Ken, if you're saying that the item got paid, it got paid.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
what you should understand, though, and I know you know this, but we wouldn't remove that item without a damn good reason to. Ken.
You're telling me so you heard this from a current Gold employee. You can verify they're a current Gold employee.
We'll talk to you after. How about that? We'll call you when the show's over. We can talk.
Well, what time's it over? Because my phone's with my wife plugged in the bathroom, so it doesn't wake us up.
We still got 58 minutes.
58 minutes? Okay, so you can talk to me in the morning.
Yeah.
I got to take Paul to baseball in the morning. Okay, so I'm glad this is going to be put back.
Yep.
Correct? Cage, if you're out there, you are going to pull down, and I obviously have a potential conspiracy, or you were fished.
Hey, Ken, while we have you, why have sold listings on your website pre-2022 been taken down?
Okay, so it's as of November of 21. What happened is eBay deprecated the old Simple Auction site. So we used to run on Simple Auctions. Now, for those of you who remember, we used to get hacked on Simple Auctions. They at one point had a Bitcoin, at least one, if not multiple Bitcoin, ransoms. And when we were taken over by collectors, as you know, and they built Zen, as you should know, Josh, it was too time consuming to transfer all the data from Simple over to Zen, Zen is the Golden platform. So we had a link, and that link went to the old database in Simple, which, guys, you want to answer him? He says, Ken, you want me to delete the reel? You're saying it's paid. Ladder guys, you putting the sale back up? Just answer that.
Yeah, Ken, you are the leader and the CEO or president of the company.
I'm the CEO. I'm the CEO of Gold, founder and CEO of Gold.
If you say it's paid,
as I tell my staff, literally Thursday in a sales meeting, some people lead by democracy. Some people lead by, want to build a consensus. I don't do that bullshit. It's a goddamn monarchy at Golden. They call me King Collectibles for a reason. And if you don't like that, you can work someplace else.
Nobody's arguing with you about the sale, Ken.
Yeah. Okay. No. I'm talking arguing about some cage. So, okay. So I'm trying to explain to people. So they will all this data will come back. So what happens is, Simple housed this information. eBay, being publicly held, $40 billion company, has different security levels than other companies. So eBay deprecated that site, which means that they took it down, they broke the link, they captured everything, and they have built it all now at eBay. And all that data, I don't know, Josh Lee would probably know better than I would, but all that data is going to be on Golden sometime between the next 30 and 90 days, which means every single sale that Golden has ever had from 2012 to the present will be in that little thing where you click results. You won't have to remember previously to go click here to go to old site. You won't have to do that anymore. So every single sale was captured, and all of that will be put on the existing Golden sites. You won't have to go to two sites, but they cut the link. They deprecated the site. I do not know what the hell that means. You guys will probably know what that means more than I would. And then it's all captured at eBay, and it's being built back onto the Golden site.
Good. So until that happens, the only place to get all those historical Golden sales is on Card Ladder. So we need to make sure we get credible sources and that we are getting all the proper data, Ken.
We will tell you. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a problem getting data from eBay? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Chris is shaking his head no. So no, you're not going to have a problem getting it from Goldin.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but Ken, it did make a couple people nervous when they went to click on Goldin sales pre 2022 and nothing showed up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I mean, it's a very, very large company, eBay. There's a lot of employees. There's a lot of different people. I am fondly introducing myself to every department in eBay. And people want to know, yes, I do act the same with absolutely everybody. Doesn't matter who they are, what their job is, what their title is. I am balls out all the time. And basically we didn't get a lot of warning and it wasn't communicated, but it is all going to be there. So everything you're out there, everything's going to be. And no, by the way, for anybody out there, this is what I'm drinking. When Paul is when Paul's playing baseball and I got to wake up for a game, I'm not drinking. I'm not going on live. If there may have been one or two things I've been asked, one or two things I've been asked, and one of those one or two things I have been asked, and I've not been asked to change a lot, but one of them might have been the late night red cup, off the cuff, 3-hour live Instagrams.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
fair question.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers. Cheers to Paul. I'm glad he's doing well.
Thank you. And look, and now that you're here, we got that out of the way. What else you guys? Anything else you guys want to chat about? Want to talk about the business? Want to talk about anything else going on at Goldin?
Well, I want to know what.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to know what you think about the Star Jordan card price in general, because we've all seen there's 9 of these things in the next September Elite.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a feeling that this $244,000 sale that was paid is sparking to an increase in supply. What's your thought? Because you had a similar take on this with the Fleer. Are you feeling it similar to this?
Yeah, I think, look, obviously, to put it in perspective for people who, you got to realize, this is September 2024. January 2021 is 3 lifetimes ago for a lot of people. So in January 2021, we sold on the same night 2 PSA 10 Jordans for $720,000, which was such a statistical crazy jump above everything else. What happened was, I think the population at the time was about 310, and we got 86 Fleer PSA 10s shipped to us over a 60-day period. 60 of these friggin' things. So what happens is, in general, supply and demand, there are people out there that when something hits a certain price, no matter how much they think they'll love it, they're going to sell. They're going to ring the cash, as Jim Cramer says, they're going to ring the cash register. And then there are other people who say, this is overinflated. This is unsubstantially high. I'm going to sell this card I love now, and I'm going to buy it back cheaper when the market comes. And that is what happened with the 86 Fleer. So what you see here is the Star has become such a hot card. It started when PSA started grading it. There has been the $1 million sale of a 9, and I think although that was private, I can tell you right now that I have an offer in excess of $1 million if I can get one of the other 2, because I guess there's only 3. One of the other 2 PSA 9s. So I'm very, very confident in the PSA 9. I'm very, very confident in the PSA 8 due to supply. Okay, the supply is very limited. What you have is a lot of people with the BGS graded card, that don't want to take their chance crossing it over the PSA, don't want to take a chance maybe their 8 is a 6 or 5, which we know can happen. We absolutely know that can happen. I mean, our good friend Nat bought BGS 8.5 logo man for me, the dual logo man, and I think PSA turned one of them into a 5. So we know that can happen. We know that can happen. So what you have is a short-term increase in the cards that are coming to market because of the excitement over that. Okay. You are dealing with a significantly smaller population. And, I will tell you right now that we have one in October Elite. One. So when there's a lot of tentacles of golden now. There's a lot of things we do. We got a lot more employees than I'm used to than I've had before in the past. And I actually do not check over every single lot listing. 2012 to mid 2021, I literally read every single description. I looked at every single photo. I would write the people in photography and say, this ball looks like shit, or you have to show the back of this card, or you have to zoom in on this, like literally give them instructions. So I don't do that. So I saw that and, I said, I'm going to use words I didn't use. That was unfortunate. Okay. I don't think it's necessary to run two BGS star 8s in the exact same auction. I think one of those two consigners can say, hey, whatever. So I think that may be actually be giving people a false sense of oversupply, because it's not like we've got a whole bunch coming up. But yes, that did give us some consignments, and you're seeing that in this auction. It's kind of like we put out a good deal for the Wembanyama, for the autograph cards. We got a lot of refractors, of the Topps Chrome. In fact, I'm willing to bet that there isn't another auction house out there that was consigned a limited number autograph Victor Wembanyama Topps Chrome card, because people really liked my ad and they all gave it to gold. Like everybody, every single person. But that doesn't mean there's any more of them than existed 2 weeks ago. It just means that one person has them all. So look, I grew up in the age where, I went to, I was a tiny little kid, and I remember getting 1972 Topps cards because I wanted, Steve Carton was affiliate. That was the first pack I ever opened, 72 Topps baseball traded. Really, really dating myself, but that's fine. All my shit's in the internet. Everyone knows how old I am. Everyone knows when I started collecting. But I grew up when rookie cards were issued in wax packs only, and they were not a traded series. I'm the day where there was the XRC extended rookie card and all that. And I personally never considered, and by the way, whoever said bleeding viewers, this is going to sound like Donald Trump. Whoever said bleeding viewers, when I came on here, there was 53 people. So the fact we went to 300 or slowly going down, people want to hear what I say. When I start talking for 20 minutes, they say, okay, fine, I've heard enough. So to me, I never considered personally that card a rookie card. Okay. And Nat Turner disagreed with me. And Nat and I got into a public debate on Twitter, which I love about Nat, because at that time I technically worked for Nat. He was my direct boss as CEO of Collectors. And we got into a debate, and and people, the public votes. As an auction house owner, looking at the bidders, looking at the activity, I can see that the public today really likes the 101 84-star Jordan card. Okay, not so much any of the others, but they really like the 101 84-star Jordan card. What happens to it 5 years from now, I can't tell you. Okay, but I think it is 1,000,000% a legitimate card with a legitimate demand. And yes, some of the high prices is absolutely brought out more of the supply, because it's just like a stock. When you have a stock, you go, okay, fine. I love the stock. I bought it $200, but you say, if this stock ever hits $500, I got to sell this damn thing. Or at least I got to sell some of my stock. So, and it happens with everything. It happens with everything, no matter how much you love it, whether it's a rookie card, whether it's a a vintage set, whether it's a wax box, whether it's a game used item. I look at all the turnover that's happened in the past 4 or 5 years with all the Michael Jordan jerseys. Like, so few people who owned them 5 years ago, that owned the photo match jersey, didn't even know they had one, no longer own it. And so many new people own a photo match Michael Jordan jersey at a significantly higher price than they sold for 5 years ago. And that's the long and the short of the 84 star card.
Nice. All right. Josh, did you have any other follow-ups to that?
No, I mean, I just I asked
So I'm
because
probably not going to go to bed for a while now, but whatever. I'll take
I asked because
after this.
I asked because that PSA 8 sold for $73,000 in late March 3 times.
Yep.
And then in late June it sold for $132. So we went from $73,000 to $244, which is a similar rise that the Fleer saw from $250 to $720. And at that time you had said the Fleer was an unsustainable growth, but here you think it's not because the population's lower?
Because I am specifically the population of Star, the quote unquote the rumored or supposed population of Star, because I don't know for 1,000% sure, it is incredibly small in comparison to the 86 Fleer. That said, 86 Fleer has what we will call a bigger fan base. There are more people all over the world that would rather own or more comfortable owning an 86 Fleer card. Okay. And it's like kind of like when I explain to people, they say, I've got this one of one, blah, blah, blah. I say, but guess what? No one gives a crap about the set that you own the one of one from. So you can't be comparing your one of one to an exquisite one of one, or in baseball, a Bowman Chrome Rookie one of one, or anything. Like there's so many freaking one of ones now. So it's the same. It's a similar type of thing. I do think that part of this is gradual and begrudging acceptance for some people that, okay, fine. I guess I need to own the Star Jordan. I think some of it is that, and some of it is obviously FOMO, where people are saying, "Oh my God, this is the new Bitcoin." Whatever a case may be, and the market will be the ultimate decider. We don't know what it's going to do today. What I do know is, again, and this could be breaking news, I do have an offer for in excess of $1 million for a PSA 9 if I can get it. I do have somebody who is interested in a very nice PSA 8 at a similar price as the one I sold for $244. They did reject one card because of the centering, and if I can find them a card that they view on the same level, they will buy it at that price. There's how many? 25 8s?
Yes.
Okay.
25. And there's 75 BGS 9s, which now makes financial sense for the BGS 9 people to cross.
It does make them. It makes sense to try and cross. Definitely. Oh, look, and again, this is, people won't tell you this. If you own a BGS 9, a lot of you are stubborn and say, I'm not going to take a PSA 9. Excuse me, I'm not going to take a PSA 8.5. Don't even worry about the 8.5. Take a PSA 8. In my opinion, you may want to take a PSA 7.5. Okay, I think that and as I say this now, people need to realize I am not a PSA employee. Okay, but I just believe that the brand is just so friggin' dominant, and there are certain cards people really want to see in a PSA holder. So I think that again, it's. I mean, you talk about ridiculous stuff. The crazy, ridiculous stuff is when someone says I turned down $100 million. I turned down $100 million offer for 8 signed 86 Fleer Michael Jordan. Six. Okay, guess what? There was no offer because it would not have been turned down. You would be reporting a $100 million sale. Okay, so you have to be able to distinguish the bullshit from the reality. The reality is that the 84 star card has been growing in popularity since the actual day that PSA said they were going to start grading it. You want to find out when it grew. I mean, some people say, oh, it's been growing for years, growing for years, growing for years. It's been up and down a bit for years. The day PSA started grading it, that card took off and went up. Then it slowed down a little bit because we had a sale, and then we had a couple weaker sales, like maybe 6 months after, when people started getting graded. And then it's just been building and building and building. Will the next PSA be 300? Will the next PSA be 190? PSA 8 be 195? We don't know. You have to get one and sell it to find out. But I think that there are people who, like myself, who hated the card their entire life. And I grew up in Cherry Hill. So this card was printed in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. This guy, Bob Levin, was from Cherry Hill. And there was some negative stuff about them with later issues that I was very, very well aware of. So I never, ever, ever liked the 84 star card. That said, as a business owner, I have come to accept the fact that it has a loyal following and it has been gaining acceptance. I also accept the fact that each time you hit a higher price, there is going to be more supply that comes out in the market. It's not going to be newly created cards. It's going to be people who held it. But then it's got to settle like anything else. It settles, and then you'll see what happens. I don't think we'll know, where that card is 6 months from now. I think, again, 2 years from now, we'll see where everything settles out. There'll be some peaks, there'll be some valleys, and then we'll see where the final plateau is.
All right.
You guys excited for the start of the NBA season?
We're still trying to process the start of the NFL season.
Yeah, is Tua done? I mean, Jesus Christ, that would be a disaster for all those holders.
Yeah, I hope he's not, but that was when you go into the fencing response, it's not good.
No, that's look. And I did a video last year, and it was before the Super Bowl. And a lot of people didn't like it. Some people did. And I basically said, talked about football rookie quarterback speculators. Yep. And I said, to me, when you have somebody like Mahomes who, is going to be in another Super Bowl, if he does not tie or pass Brady, will at least, be second. He's going to be second in Super Bowl MVPs and Super Bowl championships. And when you have something like that is so consistent and so sure, and his price is comparable distance from all the other, again, nothing against Josh Allen, nothing against Burrow, nothing against any other quarterback you want to throw out there as the next great thing. Unless it is priced as a prospect and not as a future Hall of Famer, buy the future Hall of Famer. And it's always been a thing of mine. I love rookie cards. I love speculating in that stuff until I or somebody else is pricing in 2 MVP awards, 3 Super Bowl wins, 3 NBA championships, 2 Worlds, whatever they happen to be pricing in. I look at that, and I am not fascinated by the next shiny toy. But I've said this for 5 years, and the industry continues to be fascinated by the next shiny toy, and I guess that's what drives it.
Yeah, it's scary, the prices that get paid on prospects, and shit like this can happen, especially in the NFL.
Yep,
not good. But you're thinking about the NBA because you got Paul George now.
I've got Paul George now. I've got the Bucks in town. October 23rd, the first game. Also happens to be my daughter's birthday, who's a big Tyrese Maxey fan. I might have a card or 2 for Giannis when he comes into town. I might have a little content on Goldin that day for opening day of the NBA season. Everybody off to stay tuned. We're excited. I've been a sweet holder for the Sixers since 2019. Last year sucked, and I'm very excited. I'm hoping Paul George and Embiid. Paul George has two more good years, 3 more good years, and Embiid has 2 or 3 more good years, and we can bring a championship to Philly.
All right, last question for you, Ken.
Yep.
Make a prediction for us.
Yes.
Will the triple Olympic autograph of LeBron, Curry, and Durant. Will that sell on Goldin, or will they take the bounty?
I think that is a really friggin' fair offer. Okay. I think 500 grand with no conditions is a very strong offer. And if somebody talks to me, I'm going to say, look, that is a very strong offer. And if you go to Goldin, and if it's certainly possible it sells for less. However, there are a lot of people out there who think this is a $750,000 card, $1 million card. The question is do you want to go into it realizing that you can take some degree below the 500,000, or do you want to say, screw it? I might take 50 grand less. I might take 150 grand less, but I might get $1 million more. And to me, that's pretty good odds. Like they look at, like pot odds in poker, and, an expected value formulating. And to me, that's pretty good expected value. But I'm going to make sure the person knows, hey, that's the biggest. I don't want someone to say, crap, I could have gotten 500 grand cash. But whereas there are other offers that were total garbage offers based on the popularity and desirability of the card, which, again, I think to the three of us, we are not used to a non-pack pulled card and a created card printed to order being worth more than a couple grand. I mean, right? This is like fascinating to me. It's like absolutely amazing. In fact, when I did my interview with ESPN, I said, it's a 6-figure card, but if it was a pack pulled card, it would be significantly more. So that's always been. So this is very, very, very fascinating to me that is even possible. Okay. That said, it's not inconceivable to me that this card goes for 7 figures due to the publicity. It's absolutely not. But I think some of the other offers out there were highly insufficient for the expected value of the card. I think $500,000 is a reasonable offer, and I can see people taking it. However, with this one, I'll tell you, want the odds? The odds are negative 900 against, will this person at least call me and give me the opportunity to talk to him? There's nobody that is going to just flat out take the bounty without at least saying, hey, let me get Ken Goldin on the phone and hear what he's got to say to me. And he would hear what his best deal is. Because you know something? When that card is pulled, who knows? There might be a very big cash advance. There might be, who knows what there might be to really make it attractive.
You don't think 100K in a baseball game is a good enough offer?
Look, honestly, I do not want to make fun of anybody, but I would not say part of a prize. And look, and we're Goldin Auctions. Okay, our place is filmed for Netflix show. Okay, I've got guys in the office that everybody knows, and obviously
that's where
everybody knows.
You.
I would not say as part of your prize you were going to get a tour of the warehouse of Goldin. Okay, I love you, Jeff, but that was a little corny. But yeah, so I just would not view that as part of the part of the prize. And again, it's me, and I've got a big ego. I wouldn't say that. Okay. I'll tell people that, hey, like we sell an A6 Fleer box or 2003 Topps Chrome case. I mean, the case is, look, you buy this and you want to break it. You want to come to Goldin and break it with me live on my Instagram. We're going to do it. Okay. Because I think that's fun. I think a lot of people enjoy that. But I wouldn't say that you, as part of this prize, you can get a tour of the Goldin building. It just, I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't use it as a, as financial value.
Got it.
But thank you, South Park Cards. I appreciate. I know it's priceless, but it's about the money. It's about the money. How much money will you make me? And I know that people love you, hate you. There was an employee I used to have, and I'll leave it on this. There was an employee I used to have. No longer works for me. Hasn't worked for me in several years. Really, really nice guy. Talked a lot on the phone. Blah, blah, and just very, very nice, always ask everybody about their family, this and that. And everyone said he's a nice guy. Not everybody wanted to do business with him, but very, very nice guy. And I said, I'm going to call him Joe. His name wasn't Joe. I said, Joe, you know something? You will get consignments because you are a nice guy. You know, there are people who say, I'm consigning with you because you're a nice guy. I said, I will never get a consignment. Ken's a nice guy. Anybody who consigns with me, it's because I want to make the highest amount of money I can possibly make. And I don't care if I love the guy or hate the guy. I want the guy who's going to get me the most money and blow my card out to the media, and that's me.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Thanks, Ken.
Have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah. And thank you for this. Listen, thank you for putting me on.
Of course.
I'm glad we're able to clear this up.
Yep.
If there is ever, listen, I am not shy. You guys, you know, are still part of the family. You literally say, Ken, can you go out and can you do me a favor and look up something right now? You don't even have to tell me why. I will look it up right now and I'll say, yes, paid, no, not paid, or yes, paid on this date, or yes, shipped, blah, blah, blah. Anything else like that, because I want to avoid confusion.
Good. Excellent.
Okay?
Excellent. Thank you, Ken.
And the last thing is, yes, eBay, once everything's done, eBay is going to get you your Goldin data in the same way that you get all the eBay data.
Good.
Okay? Okay,
all right.
Me off, guys. Thanks.
Have a good evening, Ken.
Have a good one. Good night, everyone.
Night.
All right. Now we'll really bleed some viewers.
Back to our 50 viewers, like a couple of bums.
All right. Well, we finished up with a question. No.
Well, that's the end of that question.
We finished up with a question on what are some of the things that can inhibit the growth of the hobby rather than what are things that can help it grow, what are the things that can inhibit the growth. And we gave 4. Did you want to go back and touch on that question and give any more examples, or should we move on to the next one?
Bad sales data?
Bad sales data is something that we take very seriously as well. All right, let's go on to the next question here. From Ryan Bitter, who would like to know, do auction previews by content producers affect final prices?
No.
No.
No way.
Yeah, I think that this is a double-edged sword because I think when the content preview comes out, it can certainly put new eyes onto stuff, but it also can make people who were thinking about bidding on it shy away from it because, well, now a bunch of people are looking at it, it's drawing a lot of attention, it's hot, and I'll just look somewhere else. So I don't know which factor is more.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen eBay auctions with seller feedback of 10 go for, huge, huge numbers. So, I'm never really surprised at what sort of platforms are able to get like monster prices and what sort of previews and marketing in general, like the card does most of the speaking.
Indeed. All right.
We got South really fired up tonight. Look at him.
I thought our chat acquitted itself quite well.
They were like, this is our time.
Yeah. Just want to send a shout out to Stiff and Dormant Stash and Dave Kahana and South and all of the legends. Mo.
Hey, I'm here too.
Christine. Christina's in the room, but we can shout her out.
Christina was actually...
I mean, the fact that I was silent, you're welcome.
I mean, she was like really firing off in the chat. I see you.
Yeah, George as well. Yeah,
this was like a tag team wrestling situation where the two of us were incapacitated on the bottom of the mat, and we had to have the chat just tag in.
The chat, it's never let us down. All right. Here's a question from Mike Pinkerton 50. Do you think the leaders of the hobby are driving it in the right direction?
There was another question we had that was like, what can we do to fix some of these issues we're having? Does that ring a bell, that question?
There were so many.
Anyways, my answer to that question was leadership.
Okay.
Like, it was like, how do we fix CT scanning and
yes,
braking
yes.
getting out of control, and like what are the solutions to these big problems?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want me to read that one?
Yeah, because my answer for that is kind of like combined with this one, and that how important leadership is in this industry. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So that question is this. How do we rebuild trust between influencers, shill bidding, loaded boxes, CT scans, cracking PSA slabs, etc.? It's all pretty disheartening and difficult to stay invested in the hobby.
Yeah. And leadership has to fix like almost all of those, PSA is having an issue with their slabs. Leadership needs to get a hold of that, fix it. What are the other ones? The CT scanning. Like we need fanatics to come in and figure it out.
Right.
And a lot of that is like, oh, we need individuals to like make the right decisions and spend with their dollar wisely and properly, and like do it. Not buy into things that aren't helpful for the hobby long term. But like a lot of it is just leadership. So going back to that first question, leadership has a lot to do with the growth of the hobby, and they have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's a terrific answer, and I'm not going to contradict it, but I'm going to fill in the cracks, because I'm going to say that there are some situations, like I love the ones you named. CT scanning is something that the manufacturers are going to have to figure out how to technologically circumvent. Problems with slabs are things that leadership at grading companies are going to have to figure out how to fix. Loaded boxes, that's something that distribution and manufacturers, if it is happening, I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, they need to fix that. But here's the other ones. So for example, the question asker mentioned shill bidding.
Yep.
Great. If a platform can eliminate it and leadership can get their hands around it and solve it, good. But the question is, how do we rebuild trust? And we don't need 100% trust. I don't advocate for 100% trust. I think there should be some healthy percentage of skepticism. And I think that noting that we do have influencers, that there are pump and dump things that have happened in this hobby, that shill bidding has happened in this hobby, that counterfeiting happens in this hobby, that trimming, and so on and so forth. These aren't the majority of my hobby experience, but it does happen. And there shouldn't be 100% trust. There should be some level that is skeptical, and that says I have to protect myself, and that we should all proceed cautiously and carefully and do our due diligence. I don't want an environment of 100% trust, because there are bad actors who take advantage of that. So that's just the flip side of the coin. I agree with everything you said, but when this question came in, that's one of the first things I thought of. Was like, I don't want 100% trust with influencers, ever. Don't trust them. That's my opinion.
Yeah, even like we got clarification from Ken. The card's been paid, sold. We have the wire. It's great. I'm still skeptical about that card. I'm still skeptical about it's a pop 25, and it went from 70 grand 3 months ago to 244 grand, and it's in the hands of influencers and people that have these copies of high grades that would love to see this card go up. They're starting to post profit videos before they've even sold the fucking card. So of course I have skepticism. Like, these cards are in the hands of people who would love to see it go up. They're creating content, pumping it up. They're doing anything they can, including making sham purchases possibly. Like, I'm going to be skeptical of this. The same thing happened with Fleer, and we were just like, oh, this is great. It went from 250K to 720, and then right back down to 200K, because 3x in 2 months on a card of that population makes no freaking sense. And this card has lower population, but it still doesn't make any sense because there's 25. There's not 3 of them. It's a pop 25, and there's 74 nines. Let's assume 20 of those nines can cross, and PSA has only been grading it for a few years, so the 25 is not going to hold.
Well said. Going back to something Carvin said in the chat, he said, just focus on the true collectors. Yeah, I think that is, if leadership needs a North Star, I think that's it. I think focusing on being responsive to what true collectors think and do is a very good.
Well, there's a lot of criticism rightfully going right now that leadership is focusing on breakers, influencers, and potential gambling customers.
Right.
Which is concerning.
It is. It is. So then going back to Mike Pinkerton's question, do you think the leaders of the hobby right now are driving it in the right direction in general? And I think it's a mixed bag. I think in some cases, good. And in other cases, some constructive criticism is warranted. But also, forget the leaders. I mean, the leaders are great, and they have to do what they can to lead the best way that they can. But forget the leaders. All of us in this hobby are on some level active consumers, collectors, entrepreneurs, whatever our role is. We have to control our experience. We can't just wait to be led. I don't, we talked about this before the interview. We talked about this before that too on the show.
Yeah, I get that. It's like we could just buy cards that already exist. We've got plenty to keep us busy. There's lots of our own paths we can trail. I just worry that like if we do screw up the future supply of the way that the card's manufactured and distributed and bought and sold, it's absolutely going to taint your experience across the board. If there wasn't new product coming out of Wembanyama, licensed products that I enjoy looking at and consuming content of, it's going to hinder my experience backwards. So we have to keep an eye and keep a healthy criticism going on the current stuff and the current leadership, because we have to just keep holding it to the fire and keep it going.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Moving on here from PC with DPZ. In your opinion, what is the difference between price protection and manipulation with cards?
Not much, right?
Right.
Isn't this that this reminds me of the definition of shill bidding and like what's not shill bidding, and it always for us is like, are you buying the card? Are you paying for it, and are you like intending to purchase it and hold it, or like buy it and acquire it? Then it's not shill bidding, right?
Yeah.
Is that what this one is? Like protection is like, oh, I'll just buy it. I don't really need to have a second copy, but I'll buy it at that price, I guess.
Yeah. Intent is obviously the thing that's going to matter here, and it's impossible to know intent. But you made a great point years ago about sort of why does anybody need two copies of something? Yeah. And there's, some people do it because they think that there's value. They think that the card is priced low and that eventually be priced more, and they're operating on the level of a dealer. Some people just hoard things and they just like to have multiples. And then obviously some people end up with multiple copies because they want to make sure that favorable comps get recorded.
Right.
So in the latter case, the issue is, would the public, here's the thought experiment, would the onlooking public treat the comp the same way if they knew that the person who bought it was buying multiple copies strictly for the purpose of preserving the price point? Would they look at it the same way if they had all that information?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably not. This is like, remember when we talked about what would you do to clean up a card? And I always thought, like, if the whole hobby was watching what you were doing, would you feel comfortable how you were prepping the card for grading? This is like, would you feel comfortable if the whole hobby watched you place this bid right now? Right. If not, probably not doing it right. I didn't like the two copies because it didn't make sense, but for me, like as a collector, it just seemed illogical. But I understand why some people do it. But for this argument, it's like I just don't even want to have that gray line of like that gray area of, do you have two for a reason I should know about?
Yep. I thought it was a great point. It was a really great point, and it made me rethink things.
It's good trade bait, though.
Trade bait is a factor, but the thing that gets tricky is when if there's say 10 copies of the card and somebody has 6 of them or 3 of them even, the market for that card can start to get a little bit distorted. Yeah. Not through any bad intention of the person who owns multiple copies, but this is the supply that's available is not really reflecting the demand that would exist if there was only one person per card.
Yeah.
So it gets a little tricky. And then the thing that can get dicey about that is what happens if the person who has 5 copies of the 10 decides it's time to sell them and all 5 hit the market at once, and then, just the market can dramatically change as a result of that.
Yeah. Well, this is why, I only collect 101s now, Chris. I don't know if you heard, but
I may have heard.
Go to that question. Do the 101 question, because I love that it was directed at you. I want to.
Yep, let's do that question. All right, so this is from Mick Wildcats, who says, "Why is Hoj so obsessed with 1-of-1s? Is it more masochistic or narcissistic, or a deadly mix of both? Even a gold out of 10 is not rare enough."
This question's for you, man.
Fantastic question. And I like this question too because I'm going to use it to mock myself a little bit. Without a doubt.
I got your back from you.
Thank you. Christina maybe could shit on me after. Without a doubt.
Pause.
Not literally. Without a doubt, every time I listen back to a show of ours or an interview, and I talk about how great I think 1-of-1s are, it just is so snobby. It's just so snobby, and it's like, it's just not the way anybody wants to come off. But I also have to be honest. That is the way that I see it. I do think that 1-of-1s are special cards. And if I have the chance, arguably the 1-of-1 is the best version of the card. And, if I have a chance to get it, why would I not want to get the best version of the card?
Yeah.
But, all right, but here's the fine point. The fine point is that a 1-of-1 today, so let me give the example of Patrick Mahomes. Because I made a giant spreadsheet of Patrick Mahomes cards once, and I was looking at it thinking about this question. If you take every Patrick Mahomes card that is the first appearing base card in a base set, only that, no inserts, only that, and you count up how many rookie year 1-of-1s exist for Mahomes, strictly for that category, just the first appearing base card in the base set, there are 45. 45 different 1-of-1s. Now, obviously, these come from lots of different brands. So there's a handful in National Treasures. Or I'm sorry, actually, that's wrong. In NT, well, my spreadsheet says in NT he has a Platinum NFL Shield and a red laundry tag and a red. So
3.
Apparently my research said that there was 3. And I know I dug deep into Panini's actual issued spreadsheet, so I'm going to guess that's maybe pretty accurate. That's not the point. The point is that there are a number of different 1-of-1s of Patrick Mahomes that exist right now. And from his rookie season that line up with that criteria. 45 is the rough number that I came to. So if you have one of those 45 1-of-1s, it's really not the same thing as having one 1-of-1 of the 6 base set Michael Jordan 1-of-1s that existed in 1997. Right. We are in an era where there are many 1-of-1s. So pursuing a 1-of-1 is not nearly as difficult. I mean, how long would we have to wait for one of the Michael Jordan 90s 1-of-1s to come to auction? It might be a decade before one of those would hit auction. So that's the other side of the coin here, is that one-of-ones are not quite as rare necessarily in all instances as the title suggests. So I would bear that in mind too. Treat it based on era and based on player. So a Patrick Mahomes one-of-one from his rookie year, even compared to a player like one of the players that you showed, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes has an order of magnitude more rookie year one-of-ones than Hill does. That's a huge difference. That has to matter at some level. Even though, and this is why, so somebody might say, okay, Mahomes has 45 one-of-ones from his, rookie season that are first appearing base cards. And, let's compare that to the 50 star rubies that exist for Michael Jordan to his base set from 1997-98. So that's about equivalent. But here's the difference. Of those Michael Jordan 50-star rubies, sure, there's a jersey numbered 1, 23 out of 50. And then if you want to get cute, there's 45 out of 50 and 12 out of 50 and 9 out of 50, which are all jersey numbers that matter to Michael Jordan. But at the end of the day, it's still 50 copies of the same card. With the one-of-ones, you break it out in different brands. You have the Prism Black Finite one-of-one, which is a very different card than the Donruss rated rookie one-of-one, which is a very, very different card than National Treasure Shield autograph one-of-one. So I do like the one-of-one era better, because even within that conceptual cluster of all the one-of-ones, there are some that are definitely better than others. So anyway, what do you say, Josh, as a guy who had maybe one or two one-of-ones come in recently?
Well, as a recent convert, thanks to your school of, brainwashery, I agree. I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on this, obviously in like the football receiver running back area in the last few months, just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on, because I didn't want to just like jump in and buy a bunch of random stuff and then figure out what to do after. Like I feel like I needed to spend the time and asking you a lot of questions, like what brands stood out and stuff like that. And really it to me it does come down to like the brand, what you said at the end, if you're going to do the one-on-one game, because some of these brands have a much longer standing, they've got a tradition. A lot of them are closer to what I would consider to be like base cards, where they've got the one-on-one parallel that make a lot more sense. Like some of the one-on-ones just kind of like jump off into insert one-on-one land and tangents that don't make sense to me. Whereas the Prism base parallel is always the finite for football, and it's always the black for basketball. So that consistency matters to me. And so there's lots of digging you have to do within the one-on-one world today, which is complicated, but I think it's that the information is scattered, but it's out there, and it's pretty interesting once you start to figure it out.
Love that point. There's a lot of nuance that goes into figuring out what the best one-of-one is. And not everybody has to come to the same opinion on what the best one-of-one is. But when people start looking at all the different factors, there is going to be a likelihood that people are going to independently look at it, and they're going to come out on the other side agreeing or roughly agreeing.
Once you've gotten into some of these one-on-ones, and I'm going to answer my own question, don't you feel like it is weird to kind of go back to tens? That's where I'm at. Where
it's very hard. Yeah.
Like I've got the one-on-ones of these football cards, and it's like if someone offered me, hey, you get the gold out of 10, it's like I already have the black out of 1. Why do I need to? It just seems weird. It seems like you're kind of cornering yourself a bit into like only buying one-of-ones. Have you felt that?
100%. Yeah, I have 100%.
When you started doing this, I was like, you should get the cracked ice out of 23, and you're like, 20? Geez, what the fuck, 23?
Yeah, but there is like a bit of a seesaw that happens where like suddenly you have a great run with Ultra Modern and you get some great cards, but then you're like, yeah, the 90s are pretty cool again. And, 50 copies is pretty neat. And, I don't know, man. I'm trying to.
But like this is clearly like a player thing, you know, like I'm coming from LeBron where it was like I couldn't even fathom collecting one-on-one, and there's a one-on-one there's a one-of-one LeBron Golden on Elite right now that I have always admired from afar. I'll show it and give Ken another plug. This is a second year LeBron Logo Man auto card. It's just an insane card. And to me, it's already at 200 grand. 200 grand, dude. Like that is just, you know, that's a lot of money. And the LeBron one-on-one is just, it's not even real to me. Like it's just so far away from reality. And I'm sure you feel similarly about MJ. But when you get into football, it's within your reach, it's within your grasp, and it just becomes more of a reality. And then once you do that one-on-one world and something that is real, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back to the at 50s and 23s but if you go back to MJ or LeBron, if we were to do that, we would have to.
Yeah, I mean, at the National, I picked up a Michael Jordan one-of-a-kind top stadium club parallel, numbered to 150.
You and everybody at that show had that card, I think.
Yeah. I tried to show that card to an ultra-modern collector, and he's like, where's the other 149, Grandpa?
What about here, I have another follow-up question. I have lots of questions because I'm in this world now, and now I'm learning from the master. When you started getting these one-on-ones and making it public that you had them, did that make it easier to find more of the one-on-ones? Because people are like, oh, this guy clearly just wants the one-on-ones. I've got one, you know, maybe he'll want more.
No. For me personally, no.
And that's because it's a one-on-one? Like that's the one, and other people don't want to give up theirs?
I think so. I think that's the tricky part about one-of-ones. I can say this. I can say that having for example, when I was consolidating to get the McCaffrey NT Shield autograph, that part of that process was getting rid of maybe 3 or 4 dozen McCaffrey one-of-ones. And
dozen?
And it was an incredibly smooth transaction because the same guy bought all of them for the most part. I still sold, you know, a healthy chunk of other cards, but like when it came to like the one-of-ones, he was like, let me see all the ones that you have, and he just took them all. So there was that point of view of like, if you have a one-of-one, you know, I don't know, people maybe think they can come to you to get more. So, but I haven't had to. I'm trying to like rack my brain as I filibuster a little bit here. But I don't think I've ever had a situation where, you know, somebody just kind of came to me and was like, "Here you go." I guess people do like send me like Instagram stories and stuff. Like that's an example. That's a good example. People will definitely send me, like, if they see somebody posted one for sale or something, like they'll send it to me. But there's probably a decent number of people too who just figure like, there's only one. I can buy this and sell it to them. I don't know.
Well, there's like 4 or 5 one-on-ones that in my research I would love to own of some of these different players that I've decided on. And I've like found quite a few of them, but I can literally only get it from this one person. It's just, you know, I'm used to like, oh, I'll get it from someone else. I'll wait and find another one. It's like, if I don't keep tabs on this one guy, keep his email, keep this pinned Instagram, like I'm never going to get these cards, or I'm going to have to wait until they literally like leave the hobby in 20 years. Cause a few of them are like, I would never sell this. And it's like, well, you know, I have to like come to terms with the fact that I might not ever own this card. Whereas with LeBron, it was just a matter of time, acquiring more funds. If I wanted to consolidate, I could. It's just a matter of like making that decision. Whereas now, it's interesting. It's different.
Yeah, this is going to be an ongoing saga, though. The one-of-one collecting. And
it's a different.
You're off to a good start. You have more different one-of-ones or different players than I do already.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4? No, 5.
And I know maybe that you have 1 or 2 others coming.
I just like love fantasy football so much that I just can't help myself. I'm like, oh, that guy was amazing when in 2019 or whatever.
Yeah.
I just love this, and I love the stats of the receivers, like the
and
guys who ended up getting Offensive Player of the Years. It's such a hard award to win, and I'm just like fascinated by it.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question about that. So, as you're getting into certain players' one-of-one offerings, have you been coming to conclusions that, like, hey, maybe I like one-of-one better than what the market says?
Yeah. I like the Optic Gold vinyls, and I've asked you like a million questions about Optic Gold vinyls because they're probably like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like anywhere from a tenth, anywhere from 10% of the prism to like 25% around there. Like it's really not much. It doesn't really creep up any closer than that. Maybe like a third if you're really pushing it.
Right.
And to me, like, I guess maybe I'm coming from the tops world of the superfractor, so it gives me that nostalgia. It has a very similar look to the superfractor.
Yep.
But I guess like Optic is a very inferior brand, and maybe I'm missing something. But I thought Optic was like the second best chromium card that Prism makes, or maybe it's Select. Those three are kind of the top three, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But the Optic Gold vinyl seems like something pretty interesting to me, and it's got the Donruss brand, which is an older brand, which is good, and they look nice. They're very similar to Prism, in my opinion.
I think they're fantastic too. I think Optic Gold vinyls are incredible.
And the Optic Gold vinyl stands alone much more cleanly to me than the Select does because of the tiers of Select.
Indeed.
There's like 5 levels or whatever, which is confusing.
Indeed. Yeah, and there wasn't even always the same number of levels either, which is even more confusing.
There used to just be no levels.
Right.
In 2014.
Exactly. And then 3, and then 5. But with that said, I like Select, but I think part of the reason why I like it is because it's such a discount to Prism. So.
Right. But I can't also ignore that the finite, not having the finite in basketball and it being a football only thing. I'm like, yeah, I get it. The finite is like pretty sick.
100%, man. The finite finish is just stunning, and God, I wish they would have done that in basketball.
Dude, this card to me is insane. This is the second year.
Yeah.
Chiefs. This is his first one where he's wearing a game jersey.
Yep.
And this was like $700.
Yep.
I'm not trying to like pump it. I just think Optic Gold is cool.
Yeah, and it is. All right. Sorry we didn't get to a nice chunk of the questions, but I'll carry some over to next week. And let's pick a title.
If we don't pick the title Bleeding Viewers, then
perfect. Okay, well, there's no need to even do this.
I was thinking through the whole show, and I'm like, it's got to be Bleeding Viewers. But read them off. That's one of the best parts of the show.
Okay, but just for the record, we are definitely going Bleeding Viewers.
Okay.
Are you keeping that section in the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you do? Can you do the? I'm thinking maybe like the crying or the tears are literally like coming out of the eyes.
That's an option. Or what about just the blood emoji?
Well, you can.
The blood drop. What about just blood? Okay. All right. So let's go. Here's some of the other titles that came in. Mega Bangers.
That doesn't sound good. I veto that one.
Brainwashed by You.
That's like it's like in a fun brainwashing kind of way. Like you're my friend and you're brainwashing me. Haha.
School of Brainwashery. Let Me Be Annoyed in Peace.
Carvin wants to know where you are. You're in the purple maroon world.
I'm in Minnesota, Carvin. So I'm here for the card show. All right.
Oh, you're going to the show
tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. I heard it's supposed to be awesome.
We'll see. The convention center looks pretty nice from what I've researched. All right.
Nice.
We've been called worse.
True.
Balls out all the time. More employees than I'm used to. And still skeptical.
This is my impression of you.
All
I
right.
like how you're like, all right, last question.
I like to have order.
Yeah,
I like to.
You're a man of boundaries. You have rules.
House of Wax points out that it's Friday the 13th, and Bleeding Viewers just seems on point.
Of course, it's Friday the 13th. Of course, it is. All right, let's do nothing. We have a title. We have an emoji, and shout out to the handful of new people who didn't bleed up.
And shout out to the chat and our loyal supporters.
We love the chat. All right, guys. See you next show.
CY Card Ladder is the most respected sports card analytics app on the market. We have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. Easily find recent comps and get a better estimate what your cards are worth. CY Card Ladder is the most trusted and the most reliable sports card analytics app on the market. We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder, constantly innovating. Try it for free. CY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. Card Ladder, we're just getting started.